Episode 110. Was Robin Williams' death really an accident? Welcome back to the Conspiracy Theory Analyst. I'm Robin. August 11th, 2014. Tiburon, California. Robin Williams, comedian, actor, one of the most beloved entertainers of his generation, was found dead at his home. He was 63 years old. The official finding from the Marin County coroner was asphyxia due to hanging. The manner of death was recorded as suicide. In the weeks that followed, conspiracy theories emerged, as they almost always do after the unexpected death of a beloved public figure. The Illuminati had claimed another sacrifice. A Family Guy episode featuring a Robin Williams joke was cited as a coded signal of what was coming. Online communities assembled timelines, photographs, and speculative connections. But the more interesting and more genuinely unsettling story around Robin Williams' death is not a conspiracy theory at all. It is a documented medical mystery that his widow Susan Schneider Williams has spent years bringing into public awareness. A story about a disease that was only diagnosed after death, that produced symptoms so extreme and so baffling that his doctors, his loved ones, and Williams himself did not understand what was happening to him. Tonight we examine both the conspiracy theories around Williams' death and the documented truth, which is, in some ways, stranger and more tragic than any theory. Detailed explanation: Robin Williams had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2014. He feared he had dementia. He feared schizophrenia. He was experiencing paranoia, confusion, and a loss of the cognitive sharpness that had defined his entire life. His wife described him as being chased by an invisible monster. He was, in her words, becoming someone he did not recognize, and found it unforgivable. The autopsy revealed that Williams had not been primarily suffering from Parkinson's disease. He had Lewy body dementia, specifically diffuse Lewy body disease, one of the most aggressive forms of neurodegeneration known. Post-mortem examination found that his brain had been so extensively affected by the condition that his neuropathologist described it as one of the worst cases she had seen. The disease produces hallucinations, paranoia, severe cognitive impairment, depression, and anxiety, symptoms that can mimic Parkinson's, schizophrenia, and other conditions, making accurate diagnosis during life extraordinarily difficult. Susan Schneider Williams published an account of her husband's final year in the journal Neurology in 2016, describing in detail the progression of his symptoms and the failure of the medical system to identify the true cause before his death. She subsequently became an advocate for awareness of Lewy body dementia, and the couple's story became a landmark in public understanding of the disease. This is the real story of Robin Williams' death, not a conspiracy. A medical catastrophe that unfolded in plain sight without anyone, including Williams himself, fully understanding what was happening. Core elements of the conspiracy theories that emerged after Williams' death follow familiar patterns. The first is the Illuminati sacrifice narrative, the claim that Williams was murdered as part of a ritual sacrifice by a shadowy elite. The evidence cited for this is a Family Guy episode that featured a joke about Williams, a numerological reading of the dates involved, and the general pattern of attributing the deaths of famous people to organized elite violence. No credible evidence has ever been produced connecting Williams' death to any third party. The second is the survival theory, the claim, circulating on TikTok in 2025, that Williams faked his death and is living under a different identity. A viral video identified a social media personality called Uncle Pappy, who resembles Williams in appearance and comedic style, as potentially being Williams himself. The personality is a real person who is not Williams. The theory has no evidential basis. The third is the murder by pharmaceutical companies narrative, the claim that Williams was deliberately given medication that worsened his condition in order to suppress his public platform or to protect interests threatened by his advocacy work. No evidence supports this claim. Williams' medical records and the post-mortem findings describe a natural, if devastating, neurological disease process. Evidence for and against conspiracy, the evidence against any conspiracy in Williams' death is comprehensive. The autopsy is a matter of public record. The neuropathology findings are documented in medical literature. His widow's detailed account of his symptoms and medical history has been published in a peer-reviewed journal. Multiple physicians who treated him have spoken publicly about the case. Every element of the documented medical history is consistent with the known progression of diffuse Lewy body disease. The conspiracy theories rely on the same mechanisms as all celebrity death conspiracies: the emotional impossibility of accepting the loss of a beloved figure, the pattern seeking that finds meaning in coincidence, and the distrust of institutions that makes official findings feel insufficient. Arguments in favor of closer scrutiny, where the genuinely interesting question lies, is not in conspiracy, but in the medical system's failure to diagnose a condition as severe as Williams before his death. His doctors treated him for Parkinson's. They did not identify Lewy body dementia. The symptoms he experienced, the paranoia, the terror, the cognitive dissolution, went largely unexplained while he was alive. His widow has argued that better awareness of Lewy body dementia might have led to a different outcome, or at least a different understanding of what he was experiencing. This is not a conspiracy argument. It is a legitimate and important medical and public health argument about diagnostic capability and disease awareness. Arguments against conspiracy framing the specific conspiracy theories around Williams' death, Illuminati sacrifice, fake death, pharmaceutical murder, have no evidential basis and represent the predictable cultural response to the sudden loss of an enormously loved public figure. They do not explain anything that the documented medical facts do not already account for. The real story, a man of extraordinary mind being slowly consumed by a disease that neither he nor his doctors could fully see, is more tragic and more humanly resonant than any conspiracy. It does not require a hidden hand to be devastating. Public opinion and broader impact. Robin Williams' death and the subsequent revelation of his Lewy body dementia diagnosis significantly increased public awareness of a disease that had been poorly understood outside specialist circles. The Lewy Body Dementia Association reported a substantial increase in calls and inquiries following his widow's publication. His case became a teaching moment in neurology and a catalyst for research funding. In 2025, a TikTok video identifying a look-alike as potentially being Williams alive generated millions of views before being identified as misinformation. The emotional need the theory expressed, that someone so beloved could not simply be gone, mirrors the dynamics seen in every celebrity survival conspiracy. Conclusion: was Robin Williams' death really an accident? The medical record says his death resulted from the devastating effects of a neurodegenerative disease that destroyed his ability to experience reality clearly and took from him the cognitive gifts that had defined his life. For conspiracy believers, the official account is insufficient. For everyone who has read Susan Schneider Williams' account of his final year, the truth is both completely documented and almost impossible to accept, not because it is a cover-up, but because the cruelty of what he experienced was real. What is certain is this: Robin Williams was chased by an invisible monster. The monster had a name, and for most of the time it was chasing him. Nobody knew what it was. This is the Conspiracy Theory Analyst. I'm Robin. If tonight's episode made you think, please rate and follow on Spotify.